neighbors, and welcome to my Hello Pumpkin playlist video. I used a pumpkin in 3 different ways. I hope you enjoy what I did, and I hope you enjoy watching what I did. I'll tell you a little bit more about the playlist after the first project. Project number 1, Scarecrow in a Pumpkin. So we're starting off with this Dollar Tree sort of broom-shaped ornament with the scarecrow face. I have a fabric pumpkin from last year and one of those small clay pots. I wanted to show you how you could use these fabric pumpkins. Last year I went into the store and wanted some foam pumpkins, but there was this yucky dark fabric pumpkins, but if you pull the fabric off, a lot of times it's just a nice foam pumpkin underneath. So I painted the clay pot in the colors of candy corn, and that's going to be like a little stand for the pumpkin. You don't really need to do that part. You can probably just, set it down on the pumpkin bottom and be fine. So let's see. There we go. The only noticeable difference in this pumpkin besides the size is that it is not hollow. It's actually totally styrofoam all the way through. So I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to do this, and I decided to go with turquoise for the pumpkin. I really like turquoise, and I have been loving it in contrast with the orange and yellows, and even with like the burnt umbers. So I'm just going to paint it real quick here. And then I came in with some yellow for shading. Okay, so off camera, I brought the paint in a little bit more on the pumpkin instead of using Spanish moss, just so you don't see the white. I'm showing you how you can just pop a dowel in the back of that scarecrow head, and I just kind of ripped it off that little broom thing, and then found a skewer or a dowel and popped in the back there. And now I'm just going to play with my colors, my leaves, my flowers. I've probably went through 3 different incarnations of flowers and leaves until I got it the way I liked it. And I'm just going to use some hot glue here. Just trying to make sure you see everything. And I'll give you a better look at this during the final reveal. And jumping in with a little bit more information about the playlist, it's the first of the month playlist. The theme this month is pumpkins, so every project has to feature pumpkins somehow. I chose to do it 3 different ways, but the hosts are Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY and KRISTA from KRISTA's Crafty Life, and their channel links and then a link to the playlist will be in my description box below. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Project number 2 is a metal pumpkin sign for fall. So the metal pumpkins I got last year, I'm not sure if they have them this year, but any 3 pumpkins that are a similar size would work if you wanted to do something like this yourself. And that's just Decor, it says on the sign there. So, I wanted to say, it's fall, y'all. Just sort of something fun and whimsical, and I thought these Dollar Tree ones were kind of boring. And also, I didn't like the way the letters were vertical. So, I tried just regular painting, and it didn't work, so I wiped the paint right off and came back in and gave it a good sanding. And then I used foam dabber instead of a regular paintbrush, and that seemed to give me the coverage that I wanted. I did the letters in the middle first, and then I went over the whole thing, and you couldn't really see the letters, and I did the same for the other pumpkins in the different colors. So beforehand, I actually made the words, "It's fall, y'all." So I made sure that the pumpkin with white had black vinyl word, and then the other ones that were dark had the white vinyl words, if that makes sense. So I'm coming in with some Mod Podge, just regular old matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to go over everything. For one, because I wanted Mod Podge before I put the vinyl letters down, and for another reason, I wanted the whole thing to have the similar look. And the fun thing about Dollar Tree is no one pumpkin is the same as the other, and that was definitely the case here. I thought I could follow the plaid design to get the words centered, but it turns out it was just a little bit different in each pumpkin. So letting the Mod Podge dry, I came in with that same foam dabber, and that's from Dollar Tree. And I just squirted the burnt umber on the sign. And it gives you a nice, smooth, even coverage. You know, I like using paintbrushes. I like it a lot. I like the texture. I just like using them. But every once in a while, I find I want to use the sponge. So it's a little bit of a personal preference as well. I'm using the sponge to get the sides too. The white was just really noticeable and I didn't like it. And there's the words, and you see how the white vinyl pops on the orange and the gray. And then I'm going to show you a little bit of how to do the words. I measured ahead of time, so I made sure that the words would fit. Then I cut them out. Then I removed the background. And now I'm putting transfer tape on top. And then what I'll do is pull that white background off. And you're left with the letters on the transfer tape. And you put it on the pumpkin, kind of like how you would do like rub-on transfer kind of thing. See, there it is on the transfer tape, and then I'm just going to put that on the pumpkin. And there you have it. Now, I normally don't like finishing with Mod Podge, but again, I wanted everything to the same sheen, and of course that vinyl is a little bit shiny. So I just come in with just a little bit there. I don't really like glop yet. I don't want to see the marks. I replaced the bows that Dollar Tree put on them. It's a little brighter. The raffia I have, that's from the hula skirts. And I just find it gave it a nice little pop. The other ones kind of looked dirty almost. I did put a jute bow down there as well. It's a finger bow. I just wrap it around my fingers and tie in the middle. And I'm just trimming things off. And then just kind of be sure about your measurements. I decided I was just going to staple them. And make sure that the top part with the staple was covered by the pumpkin above it. Not sure if that makes sense, but if you do the same for all three, you get a really cool look. I really like how it turned out. Of course, I had to put a bow and some leaves on top there, and I'll give you a good look at that during the final reveal. Our third and final project is this mini sign with pumpkin embellishments. All of these supplies come from the Dollar Tree. There's this beautiful garland with orange pumpkins on it. I'm sorry, mushrooms. and some orange beads. And I really wanted to use it, but it just wasn't fitting. It just didn't look right. I couldn't, I wanted it to be a border or something, and I just couldn't make it work. So I'll set it aside and hopefully be able to use it in a pumpkin DIY later on this season. This is peel and stick wallpaper. And I'm sorry, this didn't come from Dollar Tree. It came from the dollar store in Canada when I was visiting my mom last year. I forget now what they call their Dollar Tree, but Dollar Value or something like that. But this peel and stick wallpaper is kind of neat because it's got a little bit of a stretch to it. So if you don't have it on there perfectly, you can kind of stretch it to the edges. And then if you come in with like a fine grit sandpaper, you can get some really nice clean edges. That's what I did right here. And then like in the previous project, I came in with the burnt umber on the edges, just because the white part of the edges was too noticeable. It just didn't go with that rustic appearance I was going for. I'm doing a dry fit here, trying to figure out how I wanted the pitberry garland to look. The pitberry garland is going to be kind of in the shape of a pumpkin, since we're going for pumpkins here. But I'm showing you the size of the pumpkin from the pick, and then the pumpkin from the package of there's like a card with a bunch of these little pumpkins on it, and I just cut them in half, and that's the ones you see here. It's just pumpkins on one side and the wire underneath, and when I cut them in half, I just sort of removed the wire so I could glue them. So I got the shape that I wanted for the pitberry garland, and it was perfect. What I had left of the garland with the shape I wanted and putting the words in the middle, it just came out perfect. Well, perfect. Perfect to me. So I'm coming in with my stapler again. I just feel really good about using a stapler because I feel like it's better than just glue. Sometimes I even use both. But the staple did go through the back a little bit, so I trimmed it with my wire trimmers and put a little bit of glue on there so it wasn't sharp. Then I'm just finishing things off here. Off camera, I rubbed some burnt umber on the words. I felt like they needed to pop more, but I forgot to record it. So that's why it looks a little bit darker, if you noticed. Those little pumpkins are going to go on the bottom. Again, I kind of thought I could do like some kind of border, but it just wasn't working out that way. Now I have this, oh my gosh, I have this fabric. I don't think this is from Dollar Tree either. I'm so sorry. I think that orange check is from Temu. And that would have been last season, last fall, that I purchased it. The one time that I say everything's from Dollar Tree and it's not. All right, you see I did the awareness shape bow. Just scrunch it up in the middle and trim the tails. And then I decided to add the hula skirt raffia and just glued it on top and then trim the tails. And I really like that look for fall, to have that raffia on top of the bows. I just think it screams fall, and it just gives it a really nice pop. I trimmed that ribbon the wrong way, so the tails are short, but I will give you a good look at this during the final reveal.